Salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. V back with another casted game of Age of Empires 3, and welcome to Wallachia. Alright, I'll stop being stupid, but I saw a Dutch game on the ranked ladder that was decently high elo. We're looking at 1700 here, so certainly not noobs. And in case you're new to the channel, if I see Dutch, I gotta watch Dutch, all right? They're my favorite civ. They're the only civ that I will ever love, and we haven't highlighted them in a while, but they are being helmed in the north of the map in the color red by Dontate, or Dontate. I'm gonna go with Don, all right? I've stopped trying to pronounce usernames that are not stupidly easy. Speaking of easy usernames, his opponent in the south of the map playing in the color blue as the Swedish is Zoom. Now this is an interesting matchup. I mean, Dutch versus Sweden. It's a battle of the mid-tier civs, maybe even mid to low tier. They're certainly not very respected in the tier lists. They're not S, they're not even A, right? If you speak to certain people, they might even be B. Maybe they're low tier A. I don't know. I don't think they're super weak, but they're not going to be at the head of any charts anytime soon. But I do think they have a lot of flavor, and so I am excited to cast this game. Don't know what's going to happen. Could be a bit of a lame duck, but I'm hoping not. And we do see Zoom sending his first card, 3 villagers on the way, and a pretty standard Swedish deck. I love the abundance of upgrades. I do feel like it can be a trap for a lot of players to just stock up on units because that's the cool, flashy cards to send. But cards like Royal Mint and Refrigeration and even some of these unique Swedish upgrades, they can certainly give you a lot more long-term benefit than, say, like a 3 Hussar shipment or something like that. Meanwhile, Don is also sending 3 merchants, and he's got a nice water deck here. Actually, this is kind of a weird Dutch deck, I'm not gonna lie. He's got 2 outposts, he's got frontier defenses, then he has advanced frontier defenses with the fort and the second fort in Age 4, and this is a 1,500 coin shipment. It is not cheap. He's got the 3 flutes, which is an excellent naval card. It might be one of the best naval shipments in the game, not gonna lie. 2 caravels, which is also very good, some upgrades, and again, not very many units. So, I mean, he's definitely set up to hold off any sort of rush that's coming. He is now aging up, and he's aging up with the logistician. Let's go, baby. I am falling more and more in love with this politician the more I watch it. Now, in case you don't know, the meta Dutch move is to go up with the 400 wood because wood is such a slow gathering resource. It's the slowest in the game. And so getting that wood for free is going to be really good. It helps you get down a barracks, maybe even a second bank if you want to be greedy, maybe a market and some upgrades as well. But what Don has decided to do is go with the logistician, which gives you the military wagon. So you still get your barracks or your stable or whatever you want to make. And then it also gives you access to veteran halberdiers, which for a civ that does not have a musketeer like Dutch, that is such a useful ability because it means that your unit macro can be so much more clean, right? You don't have to try to gather wood for pikes. You don't have to invest your 700 wood in pikes. You can just make skirm, halberdier, maybe a couple of hussar, food, coin, which coin you're going to have in abundance if you get 4 banks up. So love that move from Don. I still don't think it is broken into the standard meta. I don't think you're going to see it more often than Quartermaster because that 400 wood is so strong, but certainly can't deny that it is a fun option. It's nice to see the Dutch meta changing, right? Because it's been one of those unmovable build orders, you know, even since DE came out. And we are seeing you do get 1 veteran halberdier on the age up, and poor Eva Stockenstrom is not doing so well. She's down to 100 HP, though. If she can break the snare, she might be able to get away, but I think this halberdier is going to fetch this young lady at 45 XP as well. And look at him walk away, man. What a guy. And 200 HP, 20% melee resist, and 36 siege attack in Age 2? Oh, that's disgusting. Meanwhile, 700 wood coming in for Don, and following that up immediately with the 600 wood, so not going with the bank wagon as his third card. Again, this guy is just breaking all of the rules of Dutch, but I guess 600 wood's not that crazy. And meanwhile, let's take a look at Zoom. Zoom is going for pretty standard Sweden, honestly. He went with the outpost for his age-up politician. He's got dominions coming in. And interesting placement of the torps. Usually they say don't mine up your initial mine with torps, but this map, Wallachia, does give him lots of options. He's got like he's got 3 semi-safe copper mines, which, yeah, copper's not great, but it's going to mean that he's going to have a lot of safe torps that are easily protectable. So not going to be bad for him. It looks like he went with the market. And a very, very forward outpost. I don't know if I love that outpost placement. It's not in range of the TC as well. So a dedicated push could take out this outpost and leave some of these buildings and these hunts on the front vulnerable. And that's 600 wood from Don going into a trading post? What? He's got his second bank coming down now. And it looks like he's started making some halberdiers, but it looks like Zoom has also made some hussars, and really nice micro here from both Zoom and Don. Both are splitting up their units. They're trying to cover as much ground as possible. Zoom not losing any of his initial hussar, even recovering his explorer as well. And did not get a villager kill, so Don, nice shout out to him. He didn't have to bell up all of his vills, but he kept them protected, even getting down his third bank at the same time. Bank wagon now coming in, and he's going to have some decent infrastructure. He is missing some core things because of the TP. He's not going to have his stable, for instance, which I assume he's going to be wanting to get into H3 fairly quickly. And actually making quite a few hussars here. He's got another batch queued up. And is he going to get the lady again? Oh, man, she can just not stay away from the bad boys with the long pokey sticks. Don't take that the wrong way. And yeah, more hussars coming out. A full 5 coming out. These guys are not cheap, ladies and gentlemen. They are 120 resources. So they are 20% more than your average anti-cav in H2, which is the musketeer. But they do have that extra siege attack, and in hand combat, they are devastating to hussars. And one hussar is going to get caught. Villagers do get belled up here a little bit, so I can't really tell who's winning this engagement. I want to say it's pretty even because, I mean, the bell time for the 2 hussars, actually losing a second one to TC fire, so I don't know. Both players are investing more in H2 than I thought they would. From Zoom, I thought we would just see a 5 cav semi-FF. And from Don, I honestly thought we would maybe see, I don't know, 3 or 4 halberdiers. But he's even pushing now. And some Carolines coming out. Oh no, the miss micro. I was just praising his micro, and now he got a lot of extra damage from these Carolines. Now, these guys are veterans, so these Carolines are going to go down. But I don't really know how much damage these halberdiers are going to do. They're not in big enough numbers, and they don't have support of any ranged infantry, so these Minutemen are going to do a ton of damage. Get these guys into cover mode immediately. You cannot be losing these dudes for free. And 700 coin coming out from Don, as well as 2 outposts. 2 outposts? I don't know about that. I mean, what else could he send, honestly? He could send 8 pike. That might be better. You could send infantry attack, because you know skirms are going to be good against Sweden. Maybe even send, well, no, 2 caravels wouldn't work. I guess it's not the worst card. 2 outposts. I'm not, let me know in the comments. Are you guys a fan of outpost shipments? I've never been a huge fan of them. I've never thought that they're super cost effective because, you know, 2 outposts, yeah, they come in wagons, but that's only 500 resources. And the average H2 shipment should be 700 resources. And so, I don't know, it just feels like the cost effectiveness of that card is not always great. But speaking of being cost effective, these halberdiers finally getting some value in. That initial group did not do well, but that Torp and that villager going to be a nice pickup. Now the Carolines, along with the almost dead Minutemen, going to drive that off. And let's see, is Don going to have sloppy micro again, or is he going to get these halberdiers out in time? The Carolines cutting off the line of retreat. But remember, these guys are just age 2 unupgraded Caroleans. They are not scary yet, but oh my god, the Minutemen. And again, because there are no skirmishers here to help the halberdiers, there's no ability to easily pick off these Minutemen. And look, so many of those halbs going down. But now Don going up to age 3 with the bishop. He's going with the town center? He's not going with the exiled prince, the quick age up. This guy just refuses to have standard meta age up politicians. And honestly, I'm here for it. I'm not gonna lie. Skirmishers now coming out, which finally will be able to poke at those Caroleans. A second barracks going down, and so we're probably not gonna be seeing any cavalry at all. We're just gonna be seeing skirm halberdier, which honestly, it's a good composition in the mid game for Dutch, but halberdiers do tend to fall off the later in the game you go because they lack mobility. And once you get artillery to cover your siege, they just don't hold up as well as mass Reuters, especially when you get into H4. You get that guard that guard Reuter upgrade. I think it's the Carabinier, and oh my god, they get scary. And they're so spammable. 1 population space, they're nice and cheap. But let's see what Zoom is doing in response. Also going up to H3 with the bishop as well. So both players kind of going for that more boomy politician age up, which honestly, I think that's going to work out for both of them because neither is being super aggressive. Both are just kind of poking on the peripheries, but there's going to be a quick advantage here for Don. He's in H3, and he's got a little bit of extra wiggle room to make this tech advantage count. And if you could get down some decent damage on the Caroleans, that would be absolutely excellent. Taking a little bit of damage from the Minutemen, but it is going to give the Caroleans time to escape. Maybe he could get down these 2 torps. That would be a nice pickup for him. And I like, though, that Zoom was able to get his Caroleans out. He definitely wants to get these guys upgraded, wants to get those arsenal techs, of course, and maybe even send some of these cards as well. He does have platoon fire. He does have snap lock. And I think those are his only upgrades for Caroleans in H3, and he has none in H4. So, I don't know, maybe the abundance of economy shipments is going to hurt him on the military end. We'll have to see. More halberdiers and skirmishers coming out from Don, and the double town center now producing villagers. Now, of course, the Dutch, since they have banks, they can only have 50 villagers, so spamming TCs is not as worthwhile for Dutch. I've really only seen Dutch players get out maybe 2 town centers. I really never see anybody go for 3, but we'll have to see. He's got 4 banks, definitely could be getting down a 5th one, and just as I say it, he is. He's got 3 halberdiers guarding this second developing town, which I think is a really nice bit of macro from him. And after you know, the failed attempt by the Caroleans to fend off this infantry, I don't know, this batch is getting some really good work done. He's got, I think, 3 torps down now. He could get a 4th or a 5th one down. These Caroleans trying to do some counter damage of their own, but they still don't have the Carolean upgrade. And oh, a fort going down for Don, but is Zoom gonna see it? He is. And is he gonna rush in? Yes, he is. Minutemen coming out. They're gonna body block the fort's construction, and this fort does go up fast, but buildings take ×4 damage from any unit while being sieged in the building mode. But these Minutemen are doing so much damage. Veteran Carolean coming in, more reinforcements coming in, but now skirmishers coming out, and these guys will be able to put down such a nice bit of fire. And we have the 2 outposts along with TC fire as well. And look at how many Caroleans are gonna go down, and this fort is gonna go up. It will be heavily damaged, but it is going to go up in time. It can be repaired. And is it worth the cost? Look how many Caroleans are dying for free. Oh no, Zoom! Oh god! What a horrible trade. He just sacrificed like 20 Caroleans to put about 6,000 damage on that fort. And it can definitely, absolutely be repaired by Don. Now, we'll see if he does. He's very low on wood at the moment, but that could be a game-ending mistake by Zoom to invest that heavily in forts, and that can be such a trap, especially for newer players. Not saying that Zoom is, but you know, you see that fort, you want so badly to deny it, but in trying to deny it, how much are you costing yourself? Because a fort is only worth about 1,000 resources, and I don't know, what are Caroleans worth? I mean, they're worth about, God, they're worth about 100 resources a pop. So you think, like, is losing 2,000 resources worth of Caroleans worth trying to deny a 1,000 resource building? Yes, it's very powerful, but it's not going to go anywhere. It's very sedentary. It can be taken out with long-range artillery. So I won't dwell on it, but Zoom, that might have cost you the game there, man. Getting up a church, interestingly. Did he send the church card? He did. Okay, so Treaty of Roskilde is now in, as is 2 Falconets. Now, this could be exactly what he needs to get back in the game, because that is the weakness of these all-infantry armies from Dutch, is you're very susceptible to artillery. You really have no good counter. The only thing you can do is just kind of try to overpower it with your halberdiers, but if there's enough infantry support, it won't work. So, Dutch now pushing in. Zoom is going up to age 4 now with the engineer. So he has been saving up resources. I thought his army was a little bit on the small side, I'm not going to lie, but now it makes sense. He just dropped another 3,200 resources to go up another age, but at the same time, so is Don. He's going up with the logistician, going to get that 1,000 coin on the floor, and now the Falconets are coming out, and those volleys on skirmishers, it's so nasty. And look at how many damaged skirms are now in this pile. And in the fight, that is going to be huge. And it can be kind of deceptive. You don't really think about the health of your units. You mainly just focus on the number. And so if you think you have all these skirmishers that are almost dead, it can cause you to take a fight that you really shouldn't. But now Culverin's coming out from Don. And all these Falconets sneaking up for another snipe. And look at all of those low-health skirmishers going down in that one volley. And there are enough Caroleans here to keep the halberdiers at bay. And so I really like that play by Zoom. That might have been enough damage to sort of get him back from that loss at the Battle of Fort Vesting Willemstad, which is now fully healed. But I don't know. Still felt like a big win there for Don. And Don even getting what is this? He's getting the House of Vetten, the trading post. And he's getting out Trabants? I mean, Trabants are a decent unit. They do a lot of damage deflection, but I don't know. I mean, they're what? They're 130 resources? And I mean, what? I mean, I don't hate it, but I don't know if it's super necessary. Another fort coming out for Don, excuse me. And wait, how did he get that second fort down? How did he get that? Oh no, the logistician is the fort wagon. It's not the 1,000 coin. No wonder he was able to get it down. So he's going to be claiming a lot of map, though. That fort position is a little bit odd. It's not actually claiming that many resources. It really is only claiming this one mine. I wonder, if you put the fort somewhere down here, a little bit more in a threatening position, would that be better? But look at this Swedish army incoming. 4 Falconets, and that is exactly what you need to take down a fort. And so that fort, which was questionably placed, is not going to go down. But oh, look at this. Oh my God. The triple kill from the 2 Culverins. Oh my God. That could not have been a more perfect shot from Don. Oh, Zoom, he packed those Falconets at the worst time. They were like a line of bowling pins. And those 2 Culverins in one volley doing 1,500 resources worth of damage. And once again, Zoom just getting the wind taken out of his sails, but he is not going to surrender. And I don't think he should. He's at 40 villagers. He's getting a factory. He's in age 4 with 2 TCs, which is going to be exponentially better for him than it will be for Don. But Don's got the 2 Culves, and he's called the Blue Guard. And this is the push that Dutch is looking for. The Red Lancers coming in as well. And so the Dutch army has hit a big power spike here in age 4. And meanwhile, it looks like Zoom has been expending those resources into factories, which are going to pay off long term, but short term, how does he deal with this many Blue Guard, this many halberdiers, and the Culverins in the back to deal with any artillery? And I think I saw Don send 2 heavy cannons as well. Yes, they are on the way. And this front picket of Sweden is going to fall very quickly. These Blue Guard, they have 30 siege attack. Meanwhile, the Halberdiers have 36 siege attack. Now, I will say the one thing is Don, he's not getting Guard Skirmisher, which I think is a big mistake. I think, honestly, you have so much coin at the moment. Trade a ton of that coin. I know the exchange is horrible. Trade a ton of that coin and get Guard Skirmisher in right now. Because Zoom, he's got the Savalax Jaegers, which are the anti-skirm, right? So you need that extra upgrade to make sure that your skirms can compete. Otherwise, you're going to be taking really cost-ineffective trades. I mean, look at this. This Jaeger mass is just wasting these Blue Guard. And you don't want to waste these Blue Guard. They are not cheap to get. Town center looked like it's going down. He's already lost 2 barracks and an outpost, but oh my god, 3 emergency barracks going up in the back, as well as artillery foundries. He's going to need culverins of his own, and if the Dutch player can get into the cookie jar here, take out the factories, that could be the coffin. No, the nail in the coffin in the nail? What am I talking about? The nail in the coffin that Don needs. Because remember, Don has been investing in the short-term army, and Zoom has been investing in the long-term economy, though he's losing a lot of that infrastructure at the same time. So, and there's just such a good composition here from Don. Literally not having guard skirms is the only thing I can mistake him for, but these 2 heavy cannons, they are gonna be the answer to the Jaegers for the moment. Zoom sending 2 heavy cannons of his own and making 4 culverins. And let's hope he can defend this artillery better than his last batch. Meanwhile, these Halbs breaking off to take down some Torps, I really like that. That's a good decision, because the Halbs really aren't going to do much in the battle itself with all this ranged infantry. So breaking them off to be useful, I think is a good choice. And now the Swedish artillery train, it has officially popped 4 culverins, and those falconets, no, excuse me, those heavy cannons are going to be sent to the coroner. Meanwhile, the 2 culverins, oh no, unpack your heavy cannon. Zoom. No, he's gonna lose his heavy cannon for free. It doesn't get off a single shot. Meanwhile, the infantry battle is starting to sway into Zoom's favor. And man, these Jaegers are just doing work. And he's still got 17 of them. This heavy cannon surviving on 150 HP, and all 4 culverins still alive, and now getting the culverin royale upgrade. So in terms of upgrades, currently in Zoom's favor, but man, these halberdiers, oh my god, they made a mess of these torps. They cleaned up like 4 or 5 torps there. And looks like they're going for more. There's 8 torps over here. And the more you can besiege those and slow down Sweden's trickles, the better it's going to be for you. You cannot allow Sweden to just sit on those, because their economy will become quite unstoppable. And this is where Dutch can kind of start to hit a wall, right? Their bank economy and their villager limit just doesn't have that late game power that a lot of other civs have with their huge villagers' economies. But if it goes into the really, really late game, that infinite coin will actually start to turn into Dutch favor again. So Dutch is weak early, strong mid, strong late, weak sort of late, and then very late, they kind of become strong again. So I don't know. Dutch is a weird civ, man. Minutemen coming out to die. Okay, not sure what that was about. And what is Don making? Oh my god, he's going full into skirm production now. But he's going to have to find a way to deal with this much artillery. You cannot beat this much artillery with skirms, even if it is culverins. He has sent his 2 factories now. Honestly, it wouldn't really hurt to, I mean, he's got 3 skirmisher upgrades he could send. I would send those as soon as possible. I would even send those before the 4, honestly. Send those 3 skirmisher upgrades. Get these guys to be absolute beasts. Get the guard upgrade on top, and these skirms become basically unbeatable for whatever Sweden can make. Red Lancers, ooh, nice raid here by Don. He's currently at 43 vills. He must have killed a ton of vills there, because Zoom was ahead in vill count, but now he's down to 40. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, just a lot of idleness on Zoom's part. He's got a big infantry mass, but it's not really doing a lot. He's got an artillery mass, which is slowing him down due to its lack of mobility. And now these skirmishers can do work. The Caroleans heading the charge, but oh my god, look at how many Caroleans falling to the vet skirm fire. And imagine how better that would have been if they had been guard skirms. I'm just going to keep harping on it. Okay, I hope at some point in this game he goes for guard skirms. Maybe at some point. but sends frontier defenses instead, which, I mean, it upgrades his outposts, but is that really better than a skirmisher upgrade at this point? I don't think it is. Blue Guard coming in from the back as well as the Red Lancers. And so an excellent flank here. The heavy cannon is dead. The Blue Guard are going to pay for it, though. The Jaegers are doing a nice job. The Culverins are going to go down as well, which, I mean, they weren't really doing much anyways. They're an anti-artillery piece. Not really good against infantry. More Red Lancers coming out. Heavy cannons being produced from the factories, and he's quadruple producing veteran skirms. Could be guard. And meanwhile, what is Zoom doing? Zoom's economy really taking a hit. He's got a ton of food, but he's starting to make estates now. He doesn't have any coin besides a couple of copper mines left. And so maybe is this the push where Don finally breaks the back of Sweden? Zoom has done a nice job holding the previous pushes, but pure skirm? Honestly, it might be enough. Zoom is triple producing guard Carolines at this point. Now, I think a heavy cav switch would be good, but you've invested so much in getting these Carolines up to guard that switching over to a unit that would require 2 more expensive upgrades, it's not an easy transition to make like most people think. And oh my god, these halberdiers! These halberdiers are still doing work here. They've killed another 4 torps. God, these halbs, these 15 halbs, MVP, along with this fort. Oh, 2 more heavy cannons coming out from Don, and now the score gap is starting to get very, very wide. And Zoom just doesn't really have an answer. He gets out a horse artillery, which is fun. But, I mean, no cav to threaten the skirms, no cav to threaten the heavy cannons, and no culverins as well. Yeah, I mean, he just doesn't have the coin income. He barely has enough coin to get out Carolines as it is. Lancers being used kind of poorly, but honestly, they're doing enough body blocking. And with the heavy cannons, the town center going to go down. And, yeah, I mean, this just feels like a cleanup operation at this point for Don. Horse artillery going to die needlessly. Veteran Halbs taking down torps. He's down to 110 torp population. He's actually in danger of getting housed, and Zoom calls it. Don taking the game with an interesting progression. The outpost shipments, the logistician, the halberdiers. You know what? I wasn't totally sold on it right away, especially when he started throwing away some of those units. But man, I love seeing a Dutch win. I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of rooting for Don the entire time, even though his lack of guard skirmishers by the very end does have me livid. But let's look at this game in more detail. Guys, follow me to the post game. All right, folks, welcome to the post game, and we'll keep this quick because it was a pretty straightforward game. I mean, resources were dead even. Military was also very even, though a little bit in Don's favor, and I think that was more towards the end where his banks really started to kick in. Meanwhile, Zoom was kind of struggling. He was trying to build all of these expensive buildings just to get resources, and that really hampered his military development. We look at units. I mean, yeah, a huge spike for Don here, but Zoom held out well. I will not take that away from him. That push with the Blue Guard and the Lancers and the Skirms and the Halbs and the cannons, that was really scary. And the fact that he was able to hold it off as well as he did is well done by him. Military unit counts, yeah, just some poor fights here for both players. And, you know, Don was the one that was able to recover faster. And then, ooh, wow, yeah, that was an ugly Vil raid. I mean, Don lost like 4 Vils over here, but 47 to 40, that's crucial, especially when you don't have the banks to kind of recover and you're relying on your superior Vil numbers. And yeah, we can see that is where Zoom started to go from being even to being at, you know, a distinct disadvantage. But still, well played by both players. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this Dutch-Sweden matchup. I'll be back with another game in a couple of days, but until then, have a great day, have a great life. See you later.